Okay, now we are going to configure some standard access lists and see how they work. So I have made up a question that we're going to solve. I have said that PC3 should be able to ping everyone, and PC4 should not be able to ping any address. So I go to my router 2. This access list I'm going to create on router 2 because that is the router that is closest to the source of the traffic. It is usually, not always, but usually a good idea to create your access list as close to the source of the traffic that you're trying to permit or deny. Especially if you're trying to deny traffic, because if you create the access list close to the destination that you're trying to deny traffic to, it doesn't make sense for that traffic to traverse your whole network, get close to the destination, and then get dropped anyways. If you drop the traffic at the very end, at the close to the destination, you're wasting bandwidth by allowing that traffic to flow through part of your network. So the general rule of thumb is to deny traffic as close to the source as possible. So which in this case, PC1, PC2, PC3, and PC4 are closest to router 2. So we're going to create this access list on router 2. I go to my config mode, and I execute the command access list, and then I hit the help feature, which is the question mark. And it is telling me that if I pick a number between 1 and 99, it's going to automatically create a standard access list. So I pick the number 10, and then I'm going to permit PC3's address. PC3's address is 20.20.20.3. Remember, standard access lists are source-based. So router 2 will be checking for the source IP address in the inbound packet coming into router 2. So I'm going to say permit 20.20.20.3, and since this is just one address, I'm going to use a wildcard. Next, it's going to ask me for a wildcard. I'm going to use a wildcard of all zeros. Next, my question says that PC1 and 2 should be able to ping everybody. So we must permit PC1 and PC2, the IPs on PC1 being 10.10.10.1/24 and PC2 being 10.10.10.2/24. So I go to router 2 and I will allow this whole network, the /24 network, through by saying access access list 10 permit. This is going to be my second entry in access list 10, on access list 10. Then I say 10.10.10.0, and then the wildcard. I care that the first octet must match, so all the bits are turned off, because off bits in a wildcard are the inverse of what they mean in an IP address. So in a wildcard, an off bit is a care bit. I care. So I care to match the first octet completely. I care to match the second and the third octet completely, and I don't care what you allow through in the fourth octet. I can also put a remark down for this access list 10, and if I hit the question mark key, it shows me that the three options are deny, permit, or remark. Remark is just if you want to say something about that access list. So we will go ahead and say remark test ACL and hit enter. Let's see if this access list exists in our running config. Do show running-config. And there it is. Now, after creating the access list, I must apply this access list on router 2. On router 2, I'm going to choose to apply it inbound on this interface, which is FA0/1. However, if we go look at our show IP INT brief, do show IP INT brief, you'll remember that we had actually not assigned FA0/1 an IP address. And we had created two subinterfaces, FA0/1.10 and FA0/1.20 under the main interface. So we must go apply this access list on FA0/1.10 and .20. So I go into the interface first, fast Ethernet 0/1.10, and I use the command IP access group and then the access list number, any number between 1 and 99, 1 and 199, and we are creating a standard access list, so our number was between 1 and 99, and we picked 10. And then it asked me either inbound or outbound. Now, if you look at the flow of traffic in our network diagram, traffic will be coming inbound into this subinterface. So we will apply this access list inbound. Access with the IP access group 10 in command. Let's go do the same for the .20 subinterface. And now let's save our configs and let's go see if this worked. So from PC3, right up here it says PC3, I'm going to try and ping out. PC3 can it ping the 150.101.45.1, 2, 3, and 4 addresses on that 150.101.45.0/29 LAN between router 1, 2, 3, and 4? Well, it can ping router 1. Let's ping router 4. And I'm pretty sure it can ping router 2 and router 3 also. Let's try and ping router 201. 200.200.200.2, and it can ping out pretty much anywhere. PC1 and PC2 should also be able to ping out anywhere since we had permitted them access to be able to ping anywhere. So I can ping router 201 and I can ping the 150 network, 150.101.45.3 and .2, and I see it's replying, so I'm pinging just fine. Let's go do these pings from PC2 and test out. So I can ping the 150.101.45.0 network or .4 on that .0 network. I can also ping .3. Let's test and see if I can ping the 200.200.200.1 address on router 1. And I can ping that also. Now, remember I said that there is an implicit deny statement at the end of every access list? So which means, since I have not permitted, I'm looking at my running configuration, since I have not permitted router 4's address for going out, it should automatically be denied. So let's go to let's go to PC4. Since I have not permitted PC4 out, it should automatically be denied. So let's try that out. Ping 150.101.45.4 and see, I'm getting a message from my default gateway saying the destination host is unreachable. I should not be able to ping any of the 200 addresses either. And again, it says destination host unreachable, telling me that there really is an implicit deny statement at the end of my access list. So now if I look at my access list, show access list, I see that the two permit statements had matches against them. And I do not have matches against the deny statement because it does not show. But it is implicitly there. However, if I go ahead and type it in, access list 10 deny any, I add a third entry to my access list, show run, and see I have my last entry. This is just a remark, this doesn't count. So my last entry or my third entry in my access list is the deny any statement. And if I say do show access list, I see the deny entry exists over here. If I start pinging from PC4 again, ping 150.101.45.1, for example. Again, it says destination host unreachable. Now if I look at my access list on router 2, I will see matches against that deny any entry. And I have 4 matches. I usually like typing this in. It's not too much work because I want to see matches against my deny any statement. Because if this counter, this match counter increments rapidly for me, I then know that somebody's trying to do a denial of service attack on my network. And hence this counter, if I redo this command over and over again, will start incrementing rapidly. Now, what happens, let's look at our running config again. And I scroll down to my access list. What happens if I take away this last entry in the access list? So, let's take it away. No access list 10 deny any. And I check my running config again. And you see that the whole access list is gone. So as soon as the router read no access list 10, it didn't bother reading the rest of the command and just got rid of the whole access list. Because of this issue, Cisco created named access lists. So now if I type in IP access list standard, so if I type in IP access list and hit question mark, I see 2 options, either extended or standard, and I'm going to pick the standard option. Then I need to give it a name. Let's name it CCNA and hit enter since it says access list name. And now you see I'm in a separate configuration mode, a sub-configuration mode. Here I can permit and deny, add and delete entries without taking away the whole access list. So this is much better. Then from here, I can do my commands over again. I have them in Notepad and I can simply copy and paste. So I permitted host 3. So I said permit host 3. The statement permit 20.20.20.3 0.0.0.0 can also be replaced, since it's one address that we are permitting, with the keyword host 20.20.20.3. Personally, I don't like doing it that way. It's a matter of personal preference. I'd rather type in permit 20.20.20.3 and then 0.0.0.0. So let's go look at our access list by saying do show run. And here it is. So I should have the same effect with this access list that I had with the previous one because it looks the same. The only difference is that now I get to go into a sub-configuration mode and do my permit and deny statements and name my access list from config mode. Now I need to change that access group command under fast ethernet 0/1.10 and .20. Do show running config. See, it still has that old command we put in previously, IP access group 10 in. I need to remove that. int f0/1.10. No IP access group 10 in. And then I need to do the command IP access group, and this time use the named access list, which was CCNA, and then again inbound. I do the same for interface f0/1.20. Take away my access group number 10 and add my access group name CCNA. This should work exactly the same way. Let me send a bunch of pings from each one of these devices. So this one should not work, and it's saying destination host unreachable. I'm going to go to PC3 and send a ping. PC1 should also work. I'm going to send a ping. And PC2 and PC1 should also work. So I sent pings from PC2 and now from PC1. And I go check my access list on router 2 by saying show access list. And I see matches against each one of my entries telling me that this access list is working. Now, if I go under the access list configuration mode, IP access list standard CCNA, and I take away the last statement, which is the deny any statement, and I say no deny any, and then I check my running config, you will see that I only got rid of the last statement, the deny any statement. The rest of my access list is still here. To get rid of my whole access list, I actually need to say no copy it, no IP access list standard CCNA, and that gets rid of my whole access list. Now, standard access list can also be used to deny telnet traffic or remote login traffic. So I'm going to try and remotely log into router 4 from PC3. Let's see if that works. So I'm going to go to PC3 and say telnet, T-E-L-N-E-T, and router 4's IP is 150.101.45.4, and it worked. So standard access list can also be used to block telnet access. First, I'm going to test to see if I can telnet into router 3 from PC3. So I'm going to try and remotely log into router 3. So I'm going to type in telnet 150.101.45.3, and it says connection to 150.101.45.3 was closed by foreign host. This is a security feature in Cisco routers. Cisco routers, by default, do not allow anybody to telnet into them or remotely log in into them. To enable telnet access, I have to go into my VTY lines, those virtual ports that are there for telnet. So line VTY, and I have 16 lines, 0 through 15, 0 space 15. And I have to assign it a password, which I'm going to say Cisco, and say this password is a login password. Now let's try and telnet from PC3, and it should work. So telnet from PC3, I'm going to say telnet 150.101. It should be there, up arrow key. And it's asking me for a password. I type in Cisco, and I'm inside of router 3. You see my prompt says R3. I'm going to exit out and make sure I can telnet from router 4 also. I mean from PC4 also. Excuse that. So I'm going to say telnet 150.101.45.3, and it works, and I get into router 3. Now, what I'm going to do is create an access list on router 3, and this one I have to create it on router 3 because that's where I'm trying to prevent telnet access to. I'm going to deny PC3 telnet access, and I'm going to allow PC4 telnet access. And I'm going to use a standard access list to do this. So I'm going to say IP. No, I'm going to create a numbered access list to do this because it's quicker. So I'm just going to simply say access list 10 deny, and PC3's IP address is 20.20.23, and then 0.0.0.0 for that one address. No, PC3 I'm going to permit. So I'm going to say permit 20.20.20.3 and 0.0.0.0. And then I'm going to say deny everybody else. Deny access list 10, deny any, which should deny PC4. Now, I do not apply this access list inbound on router 3's F0/0 interface. I actually have to go into my VTY lines, so line VTY 0/15, and say access class. The command is different. It's not IP access group. It says access class, then the number 10, which is my access list number, and then inbound or outbound. Well, the connection is going to come inbound, so I'm going to say in and hit enter. Going to exit out again. And now I'm going to try and telnet from PC3, which should work. So telnet to 150.101.45.3, and it worked. I'm inside of router 3. Let's exit out. And a telnet connection from PC4 should not work. And it says connection refused by remote host. Right here. So let's go check our access list on router 3. Show access list. And I see 2 matches for my permit statement and 16 matches for my deny statement. So this access list is working. That concludes our standard access list lab.